want to take a little ride here, and we want to try to do something productive. With this show, we often, use it to have a lot of fun and stuff like that. But sometimes there are things that happen that we are basically benefited by having the show, that we can sort of express longer ideas, go into depth about things, and express things that might affect the community. Well, we'll let you decide. So what we've got here, we've got a Google Doc. The reason why we have a Google Doc is because, well, we've already seen all this before, right? If we mention names, if we go directly to things, people are going to say, oh, you're targeting this person, you're trying to spotlight this person, you're trying to have people go after this person. So we decided to go about this another way. We've got a Google Doc here where we've literally just taken a person's points, a person's point of view on us, their criticism, their critique, and we've transferred it to a Google Doc. Now, what this will allow us to do is to focus on the person's points instead of on the person. And what we want to do is we want to have a discussion about these points, right? And we want to try to come to a nice outcome for this, because I think there's some people that feel like there's some merit in here. And I think, though, we owe it an opportunity to look at it, take what this person's saying, and have a meaningful discussion about it, and actually give some closure to this, right? So, Mr. Moogle, if you can on-screen this delightful Google Doc, and we will we'll proceed with this. Is it on screen?
Yeah, I got it on screen.
All righty. So, we've got a twitlonger. Now, as you guys know, this twitlonger and leave situation is not, it's not new, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make it any less ridiculous. And it's funny because literally the day this happened, there was a South Park episode talking about how people leave Twitter with, these huge fucking big paragraphs and stuff like that. So obviously this type of thing is ridiculous. Okay. But the problem here is how people handle these type of things and how people can learn from these type of situations. So immediately right off the bat, we have a title. I'm leaving Twitter, wrote a bunch about why below. Take care. And there's a nice TLDR for us. I'm deactivating my Twitter. If you want to know why, there's a whole lot of text below. If you give no shits about that, then that's okay too. All right. Fair enough. So I've decided that in a day or two, I'm going to deactivate my account. This has been something I've thought over for the better part of this year, but several things have put that on hold. I think that one of the biggest reasons is that while it was fun at first, I've slowly gotten more and more annoyed with the general goings-on here. When I started out, it was incredibly fun, being able to talk with people I knew from the SoCast, chat, and eventually branching out to meet others and having some wonderful times with. Recently, however, I feel like social media is becoming more of an annoyance to me rather than a fun pastime. I've had a lot of people either on mute or just outright unfollowed because I got tired of their shallow nonsense or because of constant drama bullcrap about movies or video games or politics or SJWs, or it's some bullshit argument where nothing gets resolved and everyone complains until it happens again and nothing changes. Okay. That seems pretty straightforward, right? But I mean, that's about it. That should be it. I'm tired of Twitter. Twitter is negatively affecting me. So I'm leaving Twitter. I'll see you later. Seems pretty straightforward. To make a twitlonger and to tell people that I'm leaving and here's who I'm blaming is kind of what this guy is talking about, though. It's some bullshit argument where nothing gets resolved and everyone complains about it until it happens again and nothing changes. This is complaining about it until it happens again. Well, what's going to happen again? I don't know. Maybe somebody else is going to do something like this. Right? And this guy is basically saying that because he doesn't like Twitter anymore, he's going to leave it. Okay. That's fine. That's completely understandable. Twitter is negatively affecting you. It's producing for you stress. Then you can leave Twitter. Everybody has that right. In fact, here's the thing. If I don't like how my Twitter feed looks, I can change that. I can unfollow people. I can mute people. Everyone has the ability on Twitter to tailor their tweets according to their interests. If you like cars, your Twitter feed can be all about cars. And it doesn't have to, just because, so if I make my Twitter feed and I'm following all people about cars, right? And they just so happen, they tweet about politics or something, that's on that individual person. I can't tell that person how he's going to tweet. But I also can't, if I follow everybody about cars, I also can't complain about those people for tweeting about cars. Right? Is that pretty straightforward?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Makes perfect sense to me.
What do you guys think? Is there something about this first paragraph that speaks to any of you guys?
Not really, no.
Yeah, seems mostly fair to me. I don't really.
Yeah, it's reasonable. Makes
sense.
sense.
Can you zoom in? Because I think I'm looking at the zoom that you've got, and you're like in the middle of 3 different paragraphs.
Oh, sorry. Is that better? I zoomed it in by like 100%.
Just stay on what paragraph we're on, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just zoom. Let me see.
That's what I did. I just zoomed in.
I want people to be able to read. I want people to be able to read it, not just see that it exists. Because this Twidlonger doesn't exist anymore. The account doesn't exist anymore. So this is the last vestige of the. Perfect. There you go. Okay.
Like that?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, from what I can see, I don't know how delayed it is, but yeah, I just see like.
I've been zooming in as much as I can to where it doesn't like have like where it has everything.
Okay, you zoomed way too much.
Yeah. I'm going back. I'm going back. It's okay. Yeah, there we go.
All right. I don't know how much delay there is, but anyways. Okay, so I think we can all agree that if somebody is not happy with the content of their Twitter feed, it's their right to leave Twitter. I don't think anybody is upset that he's leaving or whatever else. But I think the thing here is it's on you for what your Twitter feed is doing, right? And I actually looked at this guy's Twitter feed, and let me give you guys a story. I got a DM from this guy on July 9th. And what he said to me was, I am sort of not really into the DSP stuff anymore. I'm not angry with you guys. I'm just not really into the DSP stuff anymore, so I'm going to unfollow a bunch of people from the community. My response to him, literally, thank you for the heads up. I wish you the best. So back in July, I had an interaction with this guy where he said, like, hey, back in July, I just, I'm not interested in the Phil stuff. I'm going to unfollow you guys. I don't want you guys to think that I'm upset or anything like that. I just, I just not interested in DSP. It's like, all right. Thank you for the heads up. I appreciate it. I wish you the best. That doesn't really sound to me like somebody is, oh man, we're just trying to keep this guy. He's not allowed to leave or anything like that. Wish them the best. But, I guess that's mistreatment. Anything else with this paragraph before we move on? All right.
Nope.
Moving on. Paragraph 2. Which brings me to something I haven't talked about in a while. Interesting. So if this man hasn't talked about, as we'll go on for Darksydephil, I'm wondering why Darksydephil is becoming to be a problem. I don't understand. I thought this man hasn't talked about it in a while, but we'll read on. My own personal opinion on Darksydephil. Unsurprisingly, I don't like Phil. He's an arrogant, narcissistic asshole.
Fred, hold on, Moogle, can you scroll down? Oh, there he goes. Okay, sorry. Just want to make sure
I was doing that, Tyler. Thank you very much, asshole.
He was like halfway through the paragraph already. I just didn't know if you noticed.
Oh, I knew. I was like, I'm zoomed in, so it's like.
Okay, I apologize. Sorry.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Don't worry.
Okay. So I think, like I said, we can all agree with this first sentiment that, you know, he didn't like his Twitter feed and he wanted to leave. Okay, cool. Which brings me to something, blah, blah. Unsurprisingly, I don't like Phil. He's an arrogant, narcissistic asshole who has to make his living by cursing and whining about video games on the internet because he's wasted whatever hiring potential he had by slothfulness and ego. His constant battles with the detractors, other YouTubers, and even his own fans have been both entertaining and frustrating at the same time. If there's any good I can get out of DSP, it's that my own life feels so much richer and fulfilling when compared to his miserable hermit existence. That's some negatives, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus Christ. That is some fucking negatives. Do we? I mean, I don't even know if we cut that deep and say that negative of things, but okay, that's fine.
Those are some negative things that this person is saying.
He doesn't like Phil. All right, that's fine. That's fine. He doesn't like Phil. Okay. I think we can agree on that.
Yep, I think that's pretty. I think that's pretty safe to say.
I'm not sure what this has to do with the fact that he's leaving Twitter because he doesn't like what's on his Twitter feed, but okay, that's fine. He doesn't like Phil. He wants to set the stage, I guess. But here's the next point. But let's be real here. Phil is not Hitler. He's not Kim Jong-il. He's an overweight, careerless 35-year-old who spends his days walking from one end of his house to another while complaining about how hard his life is. He is not worth getting angry about. Let's pause there. Are people like angry? Like, I don't know. People, you guys watch the show. I mean, I guess we can ask our audience or we can ask people here. Like, do we get angry? I feel like the podcast is very tongue in cheek. It's very, I mean, we do this because we're fun. We don't come on here because we're angry and we want to rant. In fact, I don't think we rant very often. There are people in the past who've been on the show that rant all the time. And I guess that was all fun and games. No one said anything about that. But for us, I mean, we come on and we're joking around with each other. Or we're talking shit about each other. I don't see what this angry thing is all about. And I don't really see angry people in the community. In fact, what I would say would be angry would be somebody that's going to delete their Twitter feed, basically rage quit Twitter and leave, as you'll see here, like a 10-paragraph essay blaming people for why they left Twitter. That seems angry to me, right? Yeah. We don't really get angry about him just like doing his day-to-day shit. The only time we've ever been like angry, and it's for brief moments, was when he's done something like truly insensitive, like shit on money off his dead friend, right? Or shit on people in the army or stuff like that. It's just we've only ever gotten angry when it's stuff that is genuinely just like kind of disgusting.
And it's not like seething rage. It's just like, and also I think it's mostly just in the present, and it's more like points to some point, to some degree. I think a little bit might be a bit exaggerated, not totally, but like, I never feel genuinely pissed. Yeah, it's not something. It's usually more in disgust than rage. Right. Yeah, but so
like when it's what
Yeah, like, and we've come out and talked against that when he got swatted and shit like that. We said we were disappointed about that, and that's not like. I just don't see where this like anger thing comes from, and I don't really see people in the community that are all that angry. Well, there was one person who was very angry. But he's basically gone. There are,
I don't know who this is directed to because it's very general and very like, to everybody. Well, not worth getting angry about. Like, we're angry.
Yeah, but okay.
I mean, I admit I did like when I ranted about him several times beforehand. I mean, I did come across as like angry and shit, but it's not really like. It's not really me being absolutely, completely fucking pissed to the point that, like, you want to do something malicious to him. It doesn't really work like that. I mean, it's the internet.
You voiced your disgust and then moved on from it.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on. I've seen way too many people act as if they are on some kind of mission to defeat DSP. Why? What's the end goal here? Get him off YouTube, get his Patreon shut down. Why is this something that people would want? I'm curious about that too. I'm not sure where this like defeat Phil mission is. I personally have never really seen people outright express this. And the people that do are usually like, I don't know, people that don't really talk with anybody.
It's
like
never been.
They look weird. They like look like I don't know. They're like on the fringe of the community. I guess I don't know. I don't know these people.
It's never been a goal to get him off YouTube or like fuck his channel over for us. It's just been fucking making fun of him for the stupid shit he does.
Now, I'm sure some people feel that way, but in my time here, not anybody that I would talk to or want to talk to or follow or be with. So
yeah,
maybe some others feel about this. And like I said, this right now it's very general, but like he's making it seem like this is the broad scope of everybody wants him to get his Patreon shut down, end goal, whatever. Like everybody has some kind of end goal.
There is no end goal. I can say that for a fact. Like we would be if this isn't like some fucking end goal or whatever else like that. Our goal, not our end goal, but our goal has been to sort of meet people and make friends and sort of have a good time. And I think that we've done that. I think in the 2 years, I don't think we've ever expressed this, let's fucking take them down mentality or anything else like that. So it just sort of takes me by surprise that either if this is about us or about people in the community, I don't see it. And I'd say that we're pretty immersed in the community. I think if somebody would notice these things, it would be us, because we're usually, Moogle, you are going out of control with the zooming. Why are you trying to get so cute with the zoom, Moogle? What is that? What are you doing?
I was making sure people can read it.
All right, whatever. Fine, you got it. We just want people to be able to read it, okay? Jesus. All right, thank you. Thank you for that. All right, anyways. So, all right. What exactly has Phil done to you personally that would justify that in your eyes? He blocked you. He banned you from his shitty-ass forum. He called you names on the internet. Take a second and think about how little that matters in the grand scheme of things. You will not miss out anything good by not seeing his tweets or not reading any of the garbage or wall of text he posts whenever a forum user pisses him off again. I would actually apply this advice to whoever upsets you enough to delete your Twitter, right? You don't have to see our tweets if you're mad at us, or as we'll see here in a second, our show. You don't have to interact with us in any way. And as far as I was concerned, you already made that decision back in July, and everything should have been good. We just get this random twitlonger yesterday, and it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. But anyways, so yeah, like you wouldn't miss out anything by unfollowing us. And I'm not sure what of your Twitter feed. I know for a fact that he actually, one of the most recent follows he had was an account that is impersonating Phil's father. So actually has Phil's father's picture, his full name, and the account just tweets out things about Phil as if he's his father, like, I'm so disappointed in my son and stuff like that, which we don't have any problem with that account. I'm just saying, like, if you're trying to rid yourself of stuff like that, I would say that somebody that just impersonates Phil's dad and says negatives about him isn't a good way to do that. But again, that's your choice, who you follow and stuff like that. It just doesn't seem like you really went through the steps to, actually do what you actually could. But okay. Be glad that you're not. Oh, sorry. Actually, he says, walls attack. If he wants to run the forums into his own little safe space bubble with extreme hostility to newcomers or folks that don't kiss his ass, well, he has the right to do that since he's footing the bill for its costs. Be glad that you're not in that group where you need to toe the line every second, or he'll throw you out whenever his bitterness levels reach critical. Rules be damned. Okay. We are glad. Now we can observe this. You know what I mean? Like, this is sort of like a fishbowl where we can look at what's going on the forums and we can laugh about it. But I don't really see like why we're upset. Nice gamepad, by the way. Yeah, that's what I thought. Asshole. Playing fucking PS4 during the podcast. We're doing something serious here, and I bet I know who that is too. Anyways,
how dare you, Tyler?
It's not me. It is not me.
Anyways, be glad that you're not. So okay. So I guess everybody should be glad that they're not on the forums. Okay, fine, fair point. We're not going to miss out anything by not looking at his stuff. Okay, cool. You could follow that advice with us, right? We're not going to delete our existence because, Phil does negatives. I don't know. I'm just not following the logic, I guess. Let's see. Next up, if you're worried about Phil not getting his comeuppance, then don't worry. He has no career future, no friends, no stable income. He spends whatever free time he has going to hotels in his own area instead of actually seeing the world, gaining new experiences. His health and lifestyle is nothing short of abhorrent. He'll find out soon enough how badly he screwed his life up. There's no need to try to hasten that process, and neither should you feel happiness about it happening. This isn't good. It's sad. It's sad that a grown man is wasting his own life by acting like a petulant child, crying about how everyone else is wrong, and he's right, by banning or blocking anyone who challenges him in any sort of way. Okay. So, that's good. That's a fair point. And if that's your opinion, that's good. There are people, for sure, that laugh at like his gout or whatever. We've laughed about him having gout, but it's a funny thing, right? We know the King of the Hill meme about Bobby Hill getting gout and stuff like that. I think we've had people that sort of give medical opinions about Phil and how he's doing and stuff like that. I mean, I don't really see if that applies to us or not. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think we're guilty of this?
Guilty of what?
Like having joy over his health going down?
No, just make fun of him because he's eating himself to death. So it's on him.
Dude, it's completely different. To want him to die from that stuff.
And then he says that he eats healthy, which makes
it different from making fun of it.
I've never been.
Sorry. We make fun of it. People will make fun of fucking. Dude, there are people that will make fun of terrorism. We're making fun of some fat dude who has gout. So it's not like we're doing something bad. Not even wishing him death or anything like that.
I've never really cared about him or his health. I've just usually, whenever I've heard something about his health, such as he sprained his foot while playing Mario once, I've always been like, wow, that's really pathetic, but I'm really glad that that's not me. And I'll laugh because that shit's funny. It is funny to see him like have health that poor, but I've never really gone further than, wow, that's just really sad.
Yeah,
it's like making fun of his intelligence. Everybody makes fun of him for that, but you don't hear anybody bitching about that. When we make fun of it.
The last thing I would say about this is that, again, there is sort of like this, crying about how everyone else is wrong and then banning or blocking anyone who challenges him. Well, when you sort of do this, I'm leaving, you don't get a response. This is the only response that we get. And just so happens that we have a show where we can do this, but I mean, I wasn't going to type. Who's going to read a twit longer that includes all of the fucking text of this and then plus mine? I did one with Joseph Collins, and it's like, you know, it doesn't. This is our response. We responded on Twitter and sort of poked fun at this because we thought it was ridiculous. Hey, is it the right thing to do? Maybe not. We're human, though. I mean, if somebody throws, and as you'll see, if people throw stones, I mean, you know, we're going to react. That's part of being human. There's nothing about us that's better or different or held to a different standard than anyone else. You know, I saw a lot of the people that were like sort of supporting this and sort of saying like, oh, how dare the SOK say stuff to bad? These are the same people that would respond if somebody said something to them. So people are human. They respond. They respond to things. So I read in the chat, somebody said, why are you guys reading this? This has nothing to do with you. All right. Well, fair choice. Fair point. We'll get to that. All right. Let's get to this, and then we'll get to why this has to do with us. All these general things that really, I don't know who responds or who it applies to. But we'll go ahead and we'll address how this deals with us. Next up, if you want to laugh at how shitty his life is or what an asshole he's been, go ahead. But don't pretend you're on some kind of internet crusade against him. Pause. I'm still not sure where the internet crusade is. Where is this crusade?
Crusade would mean like there's a goal, like we're pushing, like we're actively pushing a central goal and trying to get something to be achieved, right? But I don't see that actually happening. Right?
I'm not sure where this is. If there was a collective group of people that were goal-oriented towards directly taking down Phil, wouldn't that get done? Like, if there were so many people that were organized and ready and willing to try to take him down, wouldn't this shit already have happened? Like, wouldn't there have been more attacks? Wouldn't that be more, I don't know.
Yeah, we could have, since he puts his shit online, we could just easily dock somewhere, hack him or whatever. But nobody chose to do that.
All right. Take a step back and let the man wallow in a mountain of crap that he made for himself. Don't let yourself be dragged down to his level of bitterness and anger by getting worked up about him, or get angry about his fan base or equally idiotic man children. And please don't fantasize about him being homeless. I know people that are or have been homeless. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Well, I do know for a fact that somebody on this show has said that he wants to see Phil be homeless, and we all sort of like twisted our face at that, and that person is long gone and a fucking disgrace. So that person is way gone. A disgusting, crazy person. But anyways, about that.
Come on, Fred.
But that person is long gone, and anyone that has been like actively rooting against Phil, they don't last because they're not here for the right reasons. People that are in this group are here because they want to be friends with people, because they want to have fun. And if you have anything other than that, then you're gone. You don't last because you're not here for the right reason. So, you know, somebody says that the stream keeps buffering like crazy.
No, it's just one guy. Okay, good. Someone already said it's fine.
I was gonna say
Eddie said it was fine.
I'm just making sure. Okay. Okay. If people in the chat are guessing who it was, you guys are not correct on who you're guessing.
No.
It's somebody. It's somebody that no one even remembers or bothers knowing. So
yeah, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. Getting worked, blah blah blah. Family equally out of blah blah blah. Please don't fantasize. Okay, so now we come to the point where everybody in the chat who's like, why are you guys fucking talking about this? How does this deal with you guys? Oh my god, you guys shouldn't even address this. All right, well, let's talk about this right here. The delightful paragraphs. Four fun-filled paragraphs where it all comes to. Now, if we just jumped straight to these paragraphs, people would say, well, you guys just fucking picked out what you wanted and you only addressed that. We went and looked at all of the Twitlonger, right? And we addressed point by point our perception, if this applies to us, and if we agree with it or not. As you can see, a lot of the people here agree with some of this guy's points. So just to bring it up, that's the reason why we're going through the whole thing. Okay? So that people aren't saying, you guys are just focusing on the negative. I saw that too. You guys are just focusing on the negative and not his entire message. Okay, well, we're reading his entire message. So, thank you. Which brings me to the SOK, and boy, he does not know how to lowercase that O. That's the most offensive thing about this whole thing, actually. Which brings me to the SOK, anti-DSP detractors, whatever. I don't want to be too negative about this because I have my Twitter account because of them, and also because I felt like I've done my own share of bitching about DSP and his actions, so I'm not blameless here. Okay, so that sentence sounds good. I'm going to talk about the SOK / all of the anti-DSP detractors, right? So this would make you feel as though this is about everybody. This is about the community in general. These next paragraphs are about what the entire community is doing, the problems of the entire community. Let's see what his problems with the entire community is. That being said, I would like to ask, is going on and on about Phil really getting anyone anywhere? Is bitching about him for 75% of a podcast, and please don't tell me it's not. I've listened and participated in enough of them. I've seen the Google Doc, where most of it was the same 5 or 6 Phil joke questions repeated over and over and over, and I know that several times they focus so much on them that anything non-Phil related gets ignored, really helping anyone. So we can point out that this claim is exclusively about the SoCast, the Google Doc, and us. Okay? So the people that are at home saying, why are you guys talking about this? Why is it you? We went from the entire community to directly, what the fuck is up with the SOK talking about Phil? What is the SOK doing? Okay, so let's address what the SOK is doing. We had a guy by the name of Max in the Google Docs, or sorry, not in the Google Docs, the YouTube comments that goes and timestamps our episodes. We actually looked at these timestamps, and yeah, there are some episodes where about 80% of the show gets taken up by, let's say we do an impromptu Phil Let's Endure. Let's say that we have a guest caller that specifically wants to talk about Phil. There are shows that have been that much. But I looked at a number of them, and you'd be surprised that half to 60% of the show is Phil. The rest of it is usually gaming and miscellaneous topics, right? The thing is, a lot of the time when we put out the Google Doc, there are times that Phil doesn't do anything where there's nothing worth talking about, and we end up talking a lot about gaming and miscellaneous shit and just slander each other, right? So I would actually invite you guys to go to our videos and to go look at the timestamps and go look at exactly what is the content of the videos. I would invite you to do that for yourself, okay? But this is what I would say. When we started this show because we wanted to talk about what we ever talk about in calls and sort of like broadcast calls and stuff like that. The thing is, I just think that if we were to completely change the show and make it about just ourselves or something like that, that would be disingenuous. That would be disingenuous as to what the show started as and to what we've been doing. And the thing is, we put out a Google Doc, and that Google Doc usually is what we go off of for the show. We put out the Google Doc, we put out 3 things for people to give topics on, and we go down it. Now, we start with the Phil stuff. Yeah. We start with the Phil stuff. We start with something, and usually the other stuff gets as much time as we're able to stay up. Like, if we started with gaming stuff, maybe the gaming stuff would go 3 hours. We'd get carried away. Like, we start with the Phil stuff. We get carried away with all sorts of other shit. And then we end up with whatever time we have left over doing gaming miscellaneous. And even then, a lot of the times it ends up being half Phil stuff, half miscellaneous other shit like that. So I don't really know why this guy is trying to say, and he's also trying to verify for himself, like, oh, and don't tell me that it's not. No, I'm going to tell you that it's not. And the timestamps that actually has an unbiased, because the guy that's been doing the times, he's unbiased and he's not trying to prove a point. He's showing exactly what is in the show. I would invite you to go look at that for yourself. But this guy's not going to do it. Guy. He just has in his mind, absolutely awesome guy. This guy has it just in his mind that this show is negative. But I thought this guy's talking about why he deleted his Twitter account. What does the show have to do with his Twitter? I didn't know that this show was on Twitter. Did you guys know that this show was on Twitter?
No, I had no idea.
Oh, okay. Wait, well, he could probably delete. He can delete his Hitbox account if he wants.
Make a hit longer about it.
Yeah. I didn't know that this show affects how somebody would be able to be on Twitter. What does this have to do with Twitter? Can somebody explain that? I know there's some people in the chat that I guess are unbiased. So I would ask for somebody that's, maybe in the middle or whatever, or, even if you support the guy, whatever. Can somebody explain to me why somebody that's leaving Twitter is talking about the SoCast? I'm confused. That I'm confused about. It has fuck all to do with it. Okay, fair enough. Delete Hitbox TBH.
Make a hit longer.
Yeah. I'm just trying to understand what talking shit about the show has to do with why someone's leaving. It makes him relevant, okay?
I might have a theory on that.
Because we post that the show is starting on Twitter? Yeah, but that,
one tweet a week.
Okay, that doesn't expose you. That doesn't expose you to the content of Twitter of the show. You see what I mean?
Well, I mean, I guess it does if you actually click the link, but then you're on Hitbox, not Twitter.
Right. So this is part of the reason why we responded sarcastically and stuff, because this is basically irrelevant. What the show is makes no sense about why somebody would leave Twitter. And by the way, there are a lot of people on Twitter that don't watch the show. There's a lot of people in this community that don't watch the show. Right? Crazy. I didn't know that either. So, anyways,
really?
I was just curious what our show has to do with somebody being able to remain on Twitter. That's what I was just curious.
I do have an idea on why.
Okay.
I believe. Well, this is what I think. I think that whoever this is, he just ended up being unhappy with the SoCast, and he felt like the best way to actually voice this is for some reason to delete his Twitter. It has fuck all to do with his Twitter. Like, he just felt like he could get the most attention and the best response by just voicing it all on Twitter and then leaving so dramatically. That's really it. At least I think so.
Okay.
If he were a more popular person that had any other avenue to voice his dislike of the show, he probably would have done it that way. But since probably the thing he's most known for by most people is his Twitter account, he felt like doing it there.
Okay. All right.
That's just a theory.
So
still theory.
So there you go. So anyways, I almost forgot that we're explaining why this guy's leaving Twitter. He's actually talking about how shitty the show is and how much he doesn't like it. But all right, apparently the show is responsible for all of the ills of the community. But all right, let's continue on. That being said, so anyway, so we cleared up the whole notion of 75%, and we have the timestamps to back that up. I've seen the Google Doc, and most of it was just the same 5 or 6 Phil jokes repeated over and over. I disagree with that. I'm looking at our Google Doc now, and there's a lot of new stuff. I don't really see that many jokes. There are people that repeat questions from, week to week because we don't get to them, but, I don't agree with that either. And I would ask you for you to look at, like, this person doesn't provide any examples or anything like that. I would ask for you to, look at the docs. You tell me. Okay. Over and over several times. They focus so much time on them that anything not from Phil. Let's see. Phil isn't changing from anything being said on them, and neither are his airheaded fans going to stop pledging their money to him. What's there to even talk about at this point? Phil says stupid shit about something he knows jack shit about. Phil gets criticized and responds by blocking them and then writing another wall of text. Phil whines about a video game not letting him win easily. At what point does it become obvious that this is just the same old boring crap from him? Well, that's up to you, right? If you almost speak as though you're speaking for like the people, as though these are like a whole bunch of things that everyone believes. If you personally believe that the show is boring and that you don't like it anymore, and that's fine. What does that have to do with your Twitter? Like, if you're trying to, first you were trying to, I guess you were trying to make the argument that like the Twitter, or that the show is like damaging or something like that. But now you're just saying that the show is boring. Okay, cool. That's completely up to you. There are a bunch of people. There are 326 here. There are thousands on YouTube that don't think the show is boring. In fact, I can show you numbers and show you that there are more people watching the show than ever. So I don't think that this is a widely held belief. Maybe you and your circle of friends or whatever the fuck think that the show isn't good or whatever. That's fine. Again, what does this have to do with your Twitter? I don't get it. But all right, if you don't think the show is good, that's fine. That's your opinion. You're welcome to have that. Okay, cool. You don't like the show. Next up. Also, if the SOK wants to bring on guests like Mr. Madiker so they can talk shit and say insulting things about people and their spouses, things that have nothing to do with them in order to get the lulz and trigger some retards, LOL, then go ahead. It's their podcast. But then don't go and pretend the SOK isn't responsible for it and that this won't reflect badly on the community. Okay? So, again, what does this have to do with Twitter to say, oh, well, they brought on Mr. Madiker and they're hypocrites? I actually talked with somebody who really had to backpedal on this notion. I challenged the notion that we get outraged over the use of Phil using words. And this person was able to bring up something from 2015 where I talked about Phil saying racist shit in Metal Gear Solid 1. Now, the reason why we thought that the Metal Gear Solid 1 was ridiculous was because it just wasn't funny. The reason why we think that Phil's racist moments shit is ridiculous is because it's not funny. It's not just simply because he's saying words. It's because the way that he's using them is not funny. When we do a Let's Endure, right? We're reacting to things and we're pointing out things that are either not funny or stupid or whatever else like that. We're not here to be outraged, and I would actually challenge I would welcome anybody to show me examples where we're freaking out, pitchforks and torches because he's using a word. That's what I would like to see. Because there's this notion, ever since we had Mr. Madiker on, there's been this sort of thing to try to discredit us, to say that, oh, Mr. Madiker used some words, but if Phil used those same words, you would go pitchforks and torches. Well, if we have before, show us. And if we haven't before, then you're just coming up with something to try to discredit us and try to get us to either be in conflict with Mr. Madiker or something else like that. So that's what I would like to see. I would like to see these huge examples of when we were up in arms over Phil's simple use of a word. And when we did have Let's Endures, we pointed out that it was not funny. Because it's not funny. When he do, oh, ding, ding, dong and stuff, it's obnoxious and it's not funny. But we're not saying that it's, oh, he's a racist and he needs to be taken down because he's just racist. Okay, so anyways. Anybody else have anything to say about that? That's one that I think is really starting to like spread for some reason. I think if you say something enough, people will believe it. And this is the one that is probably the most annoying because there's this sort of like hypocrisy thing that people are trying to build by saying, oh, the SOK freaks out about Phil's simple use of words. And I don't remember that. And the one example that somebody gave me was a forum post from 2015.
Usually when we hear him say words that we usually that you would call offensive. Like, we laugh when we hear him say, because the way he does it is he just says it just out of nowhere, just at complete random. Sometimes he says it with like a lot of venom behind it, or just like a lot of, I would say maybe he has joy when he says it. So you would just laugh at just like how unfunny it is, or just how random it is. I've never been pissed about it.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. That to me, I don't know. I don't. And the thing is here, okay, don't go and pretend that the SOK isn't responsible for it. Responsible for what? What are you saying that we're responsible for having Jim on? Like, the way that this happened was, number one, a mutual friend of ours was like, hey, you guys want to talk with Jim? And we were like, okay, cool.
And new Jim.
What's that?
And new Jim, too.
Yeah. Do you guys want to talk with Jim? We were like, oh, okay, cool. Set it up. We had him on. The second time Jim came on, he had somebody like literally just tweet him, someone that we've never seen before, was like, hey, you're going to go back on the Soulcast. Jim was like, yeah, sure. People got pretty butthurt when I was on there. I'd love to come on there again. We were like, okay. And we had fun with that episode. Like, I don't see this whole like, oh, they're responsible or whatever. We have people on with different points of view, right? We think Jim is actually pretty funny. He's a funny guy. I watched his, a lot of us, we watched his debate stuff. We thought it was pretty funny when he did the Hillary and Trump debate coverage. We thought that was funny. He had a lot of funny shit to say. Yeah, does he say stuff that, you know, would make a librarian gasp? Yeah, he doesn't say the most church-friendly stuff, but neither do we, right? I mean, we use different slang terms. He uses fag and kike and other shit like that. Whatever. We use different fucking slang terms.
So
like faggot and yeah, everybody has their own like slang terms that they use. Whatever. We have mouth sounds that sound.
That's what you expect us to do? Act like his parents and tell them, "Oh, you're going to say this." We just, yeah, I don't understand that. People expect us to act like we're his parents or something when he's on here. Like we're supposed to control what he says.
Yeah. Or the mediators.
People expect us to act like saints, but yeah, we're not allowed to fuck up or anything.
And just because we don't go overboard and say shit all the time and go out of our way to say that doesn't mean that we're like, oh, we cry whenever we hear that shit. We all watch fucking South Park and all this other shit. Like, I don't think anybody gets offended, at least not on this cast right now, gets offended by in terms of stuff that like someone that Jim would say, but I can understand what people outside would. But at least
for this guy to claim that it reflects badly on the community, how does it reflect badly on you if Mr. Medicare comes on the show and says negatives? How does that reflect on you? How self-important are you that you feel as though this represents you, or that you are somehow besmirched, or that you don't look good enough by, you know, oh, well, if Jim comes on and says some curse words, then I don't look as good. Like, I don't understand this. I don't understand this attitude that Jim coming on reflects poorly on the community. You can say that it reflects poorly on us, and that's fine. We have people, I mean, you could say that having fucking Ariad Lord reflects badly on us because he flip-flops all the time or whatever else like that. Like, you could say that having the mods on reflects badly on us because, oh, they're Phil supporters and you guys don't like Phil, so you guys are hypocrites. Like, any guest that we have on, you could say reflect. We got, dude, Lil Paul, you remember when we got a bunch of shit because we had Jack on? Cooking with Jack?
Yeah.
We had people inside we had people inside the group. They're like, "Oh, you guys are going off the fucking. Why are you guys doing famous people?" And you know, people inside the group were bitching about that. Any guest that we have the potential to have that reflect poorly on us. Like, but it doesn't reflect on the community.
Who could be mad about Jack though?
Plenty, and a lot of people didn't care, and he was very PC. He didn't say many curse words. He's a Christian, so
yeah.
You know.
Same thing with Yak Jr.
Yeah. Well, people and people did not like Yak Jr. So,
yeah, but people were like, "Who the fuck is this kid?"
But this is ridiculous. He says, "I know the SOK aren't role models and can say or do whatever. I appreciate someone finally saying that, but maybe they should stop acting self-righteous whenever Phil and his fan base act like this as well." Where is this coming from? Where is self-righteous coming from? Are you being self-righteous by talking about us? Like, where is the line of is it if it's not you, if it's us, then it's self-righteous? This Twitlonger seems pretty self-righteous to me about how somebody is to blame for you leaving Twitter, but to say that we're acting self-righteous because we're poking fun at things that Phil does, that's not correct. And the other thing is, like, we don't take this fucking, we're better than Phil approach. We haven't. We've said in the past that we have learned lessons from Phil. We've said that, and I know because I've said that myself, and I remember saying this, that we remember certain lessons from Phil, and we like the fact that he shows us what it is that we can avoid doing ourselves. That's about it.
All right.
Okay.
Garbage.
Moving on. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Don't go and pretend they are. Okay. Next up. But then again, people mostly just tune in for Phil's drama. You can try to sugarcoat it with other things. Again, let me point out, this is the third paragraph, just singling out us, right? He prefaced this, and I'd love to get some confirmation in the chat from people who are like, oh, what the fuck? Preface it by saying that this is about the entire community, and this, we're on paragraph 3 about just about us. And again, this is why he left Twitter, okay? The show again. Mostly people, he's just attacking the show. He's attacking the show as his reason why he's leaving Twitter. Okay, dude. But then again, people mostly just tune in for Phil drama. You can try to sugarcoat it with other things, but it's still every bit the Phil Drama Alert show. And while this is fun for a while, I eventually got really sick and tired of hearing about people bitching about him constantly, or constantly tweeting about him, or picking fights with each other about him nonstop. Okay, number one, if you don't like the show, that doesn't affect your ability to be on Twitter. If you don't like people that are tweeting about him, then unfollow those people. And if people that you refuse to unfollow, like your friends, are still doing this, then go talk to them about it. Because essentially what it looks like, you already unfollowed us. You already unfollowed all of us. But there's people that you did not unfollow because I guess they're your friends or whatever the fuck. And apparently this stuff kept creeping into your life and you blamed us for it instead. Doesn't make any sense. Again, this doesn't make any sense. Anyways, yeah, people tune in for Phil stuff. You're right. People tune in for the giveaways. People tune in, there are people that just tune in because there's a girl on the show. There's people that just tune in because fucking Moogle's on the show. There's people that just tune in whenever we do a giveaway. There's people that just tune in for the gaming stuff.
There's people that tune in because we're just funny as fuck.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I eventually got tired of it. Okay, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I also have personal issues with a few of their members, how they treated people that I know and care about, and how some have treated me, which made me lose a lot of respect I once had for them as a group. Well, I can personally say I've never heard about this either. I can personally say I've literally said nothing much to the guy other than positive things. Every interaction I've had with this guy has been positive. And then he just disappeared over the summer. I don't really know what this guy is talking about. If there's personal things going on, you solve it with those people. I don't understand this. Well, they treated people that I know. Well, I haven't had a conversation with this guy. I don't know if anyone had a conversation with this guy about this personal stuff. So if you're just taking one person's side, like, hey, they did this to me and this is what, and then you just listen to that and didn't listen to the other side at all, I mean, that seems a little biased, and you don't always get the truth just hearing one side. But I've never had a bad dealing with this guy ever, so I don't know. I don't know what this is about.
So again, never heard about this. Have no idea who this could possibly be. Cause it's so like it seems like this is also another thing. Oh, I have a huge problem with this, but no, I'm not going to tell anyone. Like what? How does that help anybody whatsoever? If you're not going to say. If you're not going to talk to somebody about who you have this problem with, what can we do? We can't respond because he left Twitter, quote unquote. So yeah, I just read that and it's like, okay, so you clearly had other things wrong with certain people, but you built all that shit up inside of you and then just let it out in this huge, big fucking twitlonger instead of even trying to fucking improve it. And that's happened with many people I knew in the past. It's happened with me personally and specifically. And it's something that I learned that, you know, when there's a problem with specific people and you should fucking go out and fucking do it and not in this kind of way. That's the thing I think about when I read this, is that it seems like a very specific reason why he doesn't like us or other people in this community or whatever. But that specifically makes me think like he had a problem and he did not want to address it or talk to people about that.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, right? If the first time we hear that you have all these huge issues is a public twitlonger where you're saying that you're leaving and you're rage quitting Twitter, you're basically committing account suicide and leaving a suicide note, blaming us for you doing that. How are we supposed to respond? Did you try to reach out to anybody to solve anything? No, you didn't. If you were actually, let me say this too, if you were actually interested in solving a problem that you had and not just keeping it until you blew up, then we would have heard something and we would have tried to work it out. So somebody that was on Twitter that was saying some shit that I disagreed with, I reached out to that person and I talked to them in private, right? I didn't go back and forth with them on Twitter. I've done this before. I've talked to several people and we've worked things out. We've had terrible fucking drama with people and talked with them and worked it out time and time again. I don't understand why this person felt as though, you know, can you say afraid or whatever? Like, what can you possibly say? I can't say that this person's afraid, because then this person did a fucking twitlonger and threw us under the bus for 4 fucking paragraphs. So how can you say that this person is avoiding confrontation or afraid or shy or whatever when they do a twitlonger like this and throw everybody under the bus? So again, I'd like to remind people we're on 4 paragraphs about us in a twitlonger about why this guy's leaving Twitter. Okay, just again keeping people up to date. So he says, I realize that these rants might make it look like I hate the people of the SOK, but I don't. Not really. I'm just incredibly tired of all their hypocritical BS and drama that's been hanging around them and their community. Like what? Have you provided any examples? I don't see any examples. I want to wish them the best in their charity efforts. Yeah. Well, you drop a twitlonger like this the day before we launch our charity. Thank you. That really makes things great. You drop a twitlonger unprovoked. I looked at his Twitter. I looked at things that were going on. Nothing happened. Nothing spurred this on. I'm sorry to say, nothing spurred this on. Nobody talked with him. He talked with the same group of people that he's been talking with on their own little island and shit, not being bothered by anybody. Nobody bothers anybody, literally. And this guy has a blow up out of nowhere. And this is what we end up with. A giant twitlonger about us the day before we drop our charity. And this guy mentions, oh, good luck with your charity. So he knows we're doing the charity. But I'm not going to say definitively, oh, yeah, he did this to fuck with the charity. I'm not going to say that. But what I'm just going to say is, you know, oh, okay, you did this out of nowhere the day before we started the charity. That's the only event that's significant. What else happened? None of us reached out to him before this. Literally nothing spurred this on. This is completely random, completely out of nowhere, completely unprovoked. Nobody did anything to him. And what is it? It's on Wednesday he decided that he doesn't like the show anymore? Does that make sense?
Built up thoughts, built up shit, never talked with anybody, never heard anything about this.
Yes.
So yeah, for my eyes, it just feels like bottled up feelings and emotions, and just release them all at once.
And deleted his Twitter.
Yeah. Because
he doesn't like the show.
Yeah, that's on Hitbox and YouTube.
That's on Hitbox. Twitter. I actually tweeted out something pretty sarcastic. I just thought, you know, it was sarcastic, yeah, but I think it's an actual parallel to this. I said, I decided I don't like the podcast anymore by Twitter. People got all mad about that. That's fine. You know what I mean? Was that wrong to spur the guy? Maybe, but I'm a human being. I like this. I like to be able to respond to people and to fucking express myself. But all right. So anyways, all this is to say that he wishes us the best in his charity efforts. He feels honored to have been able to help out with what small amount of money that he could give, and he hopes that the new one will succeed as well. Well, the new one will succeed very well if we're not having to deal with somebody dropping a 4-paragraph slam on us and about how much the show sucks and about how people are stupid and obsessed with Phil and stuff like that. That usually helps with the community feeling good and feeling charitable. Usually when the community is not slammed by somebody who's on the way out. Literally somebody who is upset with the community and does a twit longer and stomps their feet on the way out. And we never talk to him. This is the first that we've heard that he had a problem. Again, I point out to you guys, July 9th, he just messages me, and I'm not going to release the message. It's up to him if he wants to dispute it or whatever, but literally sends me a DM on July 9th and says, hey, I'm not interested in the Phil stuff anymore, so I'm going to be unfollowing you guys, but I'm not upset with any of you guys. I'm not angry. I'm just moving on from the Phil stuff. No hard feelings. Wish you the best. I said, all right, thank you for the heads up. I wish you the best. That is the extent of it. So he has a line of communication. He has communicated with us before. I thought we were on good terms. I thought we were friends. He's done all this kind of stuff. So what is it that this has to happen? He then just goes on to thank people. I mean, all that's not important. He thanks people. He thanks a few people. He says, but the thing is, he says at the end, who knows, maybe in a few months I'll reconsider, come back with a new Twitter account and try this over again. We'll see. Now, here's the thing. All right, let's close that out. If he's going to come back with a Twitter, but nothing actually changed, then what is this for? If he comes back, so what I'm assuming is that everything is going to have to be renewed whole cloth for him to come to honor us with his presence. Is that what I'm to understand? Like, what conditions need to be met for him to come back? What is it that we have to do? But okay, that's fine. Let's address this and let's get this done with, because we've been doing this for a long time. But again, I feel like, this deserves an actual dialogue about it. And if there's people that aren't happy with the dialogue, I'm sorry. We gave you guys the heads up to come back. But, here's the thing. I'll say this again. This was low class. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. This is my opinion. I thought that we are just giving opinions here. I thought that whole twit longer where he says the show is boring and that we're obsessed with Phil, and he literally lies about how much of the show, the content of the show, I thought that we're just giving our opinion. So I'm going to give mine. This was a low-class move. This was an absolutely low-class move. This was out of nowhere. This was unprovoked. This was completely a low blow. And for no reason. And this guy is literally blaming us when we don't even talk with him. This guy's blaming us for the reason why he left Twitter. Essentially, what I think is this is like a leverage move. You should be angry at the SOK the way that I am, and I'm offering you my account suicide as a reason. I'm showing you damages. This is something that we all as a community have lost, my participation, and therefore you should be mad because I'm pulling the only card that I have. That's the way that I see it. Who else does this? Who else fucking leaves Twitter and writes a 10-page article, 4 of which are literally, it's the SOK's fault because their show sucks?
Like I think I said, people have made twit longers about similar kind of stuff of, I'm leaving and shit. So this is nothing new, but yeah, I agree with you in the fact that it was like it first and second paragraph maybe actually talked about why he wanted to leave Twitter, which is fine, whatever. But then it focused into something that, in my eyes, was random and off topic in terms of why would you leave Twitter? Because it's not leaving Twitter anymore. It's talking about us, which he feels he is a part of. Like, I don't get it.
And here's the thing, like, this isn't the first person who's ever done something like this. Like, you know, say that they're leaving Twitter and then, you know, talk shit on the way out. People do that a lot, but of course, you know, we're not allowed to give our opinion on it, which I think is fucking garbage.
Here's the thing, too. Who is supposed to be inconvenienced by him leaving Twitter? If he has actual friends in the community, he's going to be talking to them on Skype or Steam or Discord or whatever the fuck. I'm pretty sure that he's just not disappearing off the internet. I also saw people referencing the fact that they have been talking with him like recently, as in like after this happened. So what exactly can you show? Like, this is just a way to demonstrate damages. This is, the SOK has wronged me to the point where I have to delete my Twitter account, and you should be upset too. Look at the harm that has been done to me. I don't have my Twitter account anymore. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You left Twitter because you don't like the show. Okay, that's fine. What impact do we have on your life? You talk about what impact does Phil have on our life, and that we're all so upset and we do all these podcasts. Well, then you were allowed to become upset with our podcast and deleted your Twitter. Rage quit Twitter because of us. It just doesn't make any sense. So I hope that people are at least understanding of the fact that we literally went point by point. I understand that people are trying to, let me address some common things I'm saying. People are saying the SOK is attacking this guy. We never attacked this guy. We did some sarcastic tweets about the situation. I made some serious tweets about how I think it was a low-class move and it was unprovoked and it was unfair. I didn't have the chance. We were working on the shirts literally all night. We had to, like, we were doing Tuesday and Wednesday, and literally the stream was late today because I had to finish it up. We've been working on these shirts for the past 2-3 days. So I didn't get the chance to do a huge twit longer, and I don't even think a twit longer would have worked. I think this was the best way to do it, to have a conversation and to go point by point and address these things and show that, yeah, if this is criticism, then we have read it, thought about it, and have responded to it. And that's our take on it. I know that there's people in the community that are like, oh, he fucking got him. He's the hero standing up for what's right and shit like that. So what is it that you're saying? You agree that the show isn't good? Okay, well, we're sorry that you don't like our show. I'm surprised that anybody likes our show. You know what I mean? I am. I'm actually very surprised that anybody finds the show enjoyable other than us and our small circle of friends. You know? So yeah, if somebody doesn't like the show, of course I'm not going to be offended by that, dude. I'm surprised that people tune in at all, and I've always expressed that, and I've always been surprised, overwhelmed, and completely taken off guard by the fact that people watch this. So yeah, if people don't like the show, oh well, like that's completely fine. I don't have any personal problems with this guy, and I don't dislike this guy. My interactions with him have been positive. It's just that he does this out of nowhere, and I think it's very unfair, and I think that he's misinformed, and I think that he said some things that were factually wrong that we can prove with evidence. And he made a lot of lofty claims and hasn't proved any of them, never gave examples. And I think the big thing he said is that he has personal issues with some of the members. And that's why that ended up being more of an attack piece.
Well, we don't know who those people are, who these other friends are, how people provoked them, and nothing. It was just very like, oh, and I have these huge fucking problems with people because we didn't like their friends or said shit to their friends or whatever. But we never heard about this. And I know a lot of people have been talking about this, like, oh, he can leave Twitter if he wants, so he should leave in peace and all this shit. It's like, okay, sure, that's not the point that we care about. He can leave Twitter whenever the fuck he wants. I don't give a shit. I really fucking don't care about that aspect. The aspect that we just fucking proved that I thought we proved for the past hour, the point that we talked about at length was the part that he was talking about us, something that has nothing to do with Twitter, nothing has to do with him leaving Twitter. It's him leaving. It's like for somehow us translates to his Twitter experience for whatever reason. I think that the later part of the section, after like the first 2 or 3 paragraphs, I think, it completely jumps off Twitter and he just says what he feels about us, because apparently his Twitter, which I didn't follow, was following just DSP people, which is like, okay. But like I said, that middle portion is pretty much all about us without talking about why that affects his Twitter experience, and never says exactly why he feels. He told why he feels that, but he never told us why he feels that our show impedes on his Twitter experience or anything like that. It just feels like he's tired of us.
Right.
Yeah, so he wants to completely get away. Okay. But I don't see what that has to do with leaving Twitter, and that's the point that I wanted, that I thought was funny, which is why I originally fucking made a jab or a fucking thing about it, because I felt it was just nothing like, oh, I'm done with the DSP community things. That's pretty much what this is. It's another one of those twit-longers that focus on, I'm leaving the community, here's why, blah, 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 and it involved us. So I feel it's totally justifiable for us to talk about it, since we're in the DSP, anti-DSP thing. Almost pretty much all of this is about that. And it mentions us. I checked. It checked us. It says SOK 6 times in just a simple, what should have been a tweet or twit longer, saying I left Twitter because of this or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know?
So that's basically, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, I really don't understand this whole thing where apparently it's super wrong for us to stick up for ourselves, or at least address something that is obviously talking about us. I think it's just ridiculous. If someone's going to say stuff about us that we don't agree with and we want to say something back, we should be allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's us responding to that, taking the time. I don't know if we're gonna make that a separate video or not, and just put that on the channel. I don't know. Maybe we'll make that a separate video. But we wanted to give that an opportunity, and we wanted to address it. You know, and here's the thing. This is, you know, what I don't get, and this is the last thing that I'll say. So if Phil's stuff is still penetrating his Twitter feed, despite the fact that he unfollowed a bunch of us, that means that he made exceptions for his personal friends, and somehow the shit is still bleeding into his Twitter account. That's on him, though, and that's on him to discuss with his friends. If he unfollowed all of us to the point where we're not responsible anymore, but yet people that he made exceptions for that are still in the community are still making this so that it's penetrating his Twitter account, then he needs to address that with them and not get upset with us, because he's made certain allowances to let things into his Twitter feed, right? And he's upset with us because of that, because of choices that he made. So that's it. That's it. Do I think that he made some valid points? Yes, I do. I think he made some valid points about the fact that there may or may, like, I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are people out there that are really fucking, oh, I hate Phil or whatever the fuck else. You know, oh, I want a mission or whatever. Yeah, and we agree. You know, we agree that you shouldn't fucking, you know, be obsessed or whatever the fuck else. That's fine. And there are other points that he made that we agree with. But this fucking, you know, whole thing about, oh, fucking, I don't like you guys, so I'm going to leave my fucking Twitter and shit like that. It's ridiculous. It really is. So, all right. Any last thoughts on that before we move on and start the show?
One thing that I will say is, and I know you've reiterated this a couple of times, people don't leave peacefully. They like to make a big scene before they do. And honestly, I think that's the one thing that I think is the most disgusting about this is that this guy essentially decided to throw us under the bus while he's leaving. He could have just gone peacefully, just, you know, not had to say all that shit about the SOK and stuff. I mean, you know, just, you didn't have to do that. It wasn't necessary, and it had no point.
And,
so,
sorry.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And because he did, I feel that we do have the right to talk about it.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I think it's other bullshit that people get all upset when we respond to someone talking about us and we disagree with it. I don't understand why it's so wrong for us to do it.
Yeah, let's finish on that. So we've been in the situation before where people like start shit with us, right? But that's okay. If you say something negative about the SOK, that's just to be accepted. That's like completely normal. And they're just speaking the truth and they're just speaking their mind. But if we so dare as to respond, civilly or not, like even if we fucking respond all like nice and, you know, civil and shit, people get all upset and they act like whatever we tweet is fucking ridiculous. They act like it's like this big attack or this big slam. Like, I just don't get it. I don't understand that.
Sounds to me like they don't like us either.
It just sounds like they aren't capable of actually having a discussion of the facts, and they want to just shame us for having the goal. Like, we should just sit back and fucking take it because we deserve it or whatever. If that's your personal opinion, that's fine. Like, everybody deserves the right to respond to slander, criticism, whatever you want to call it, whether it's legit points or whether it's just bullshit. Like, everyone has the right to respond. Now, you can say, oh, I don't think it's a good idea for their PR or whatever the fuck else, but we don't give a fuck about PR. If we gave a fuck about PR, we wouldn't have a show where we normally do impressions and fucking talk shit about each other and talk shit about Phil and shit like that. Like, I don't know where this idea is. Again, like this fucking, oh, the SOK are saints and they need to act perfect and they need good PR and shit like that. Dude, we don't give a fuck about any of that. We're not a fucking company where we're trying to make money and look good and shit like that. We do the things that we do because we feel certain ways. That's it. Like, I feel like we've been as genuine as we can possibly be about our actions and shit like that. And, you know, to act like, oh, you know, they need to act a perfect way. They need to act in a way I agree with at all times. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, but yeah, this whole notion like, oh, you guys can't respond. Sorry, just unfollow. I have too many Twitter followers as it is. If you don't like the fact that I respond when people talk shit about me, which is completely unreasonable, then just unfollow me and we'll be good. You know, do a twit longer if you want, I guess. I don't know. That's the popular thing to do.
Make a dat boy.
Yeah. So, all right.
It's so popular that even South Park covered it.
Yeah, immediately. Yeah, I can't believe they knew about it.
Yeah. Like that night, the most recent South Park episode was something about Twitter.
Yeah, leaving Twitter and pretending it's like a big deal, and it's like, oh, it's suicide and all this shit. It's so dramatic.
It was
very good.
Such an amazing coincidence. I fucking loved that.
Yeah. It's pretty great, yeah.
All right. So, I think that covers it. Are we satisfied? Are there any other last things that we want to say so that we can properly give this hard-hitting criticism the respect that it deserves, the sort of, you know, attention that it so desires and all that good stuff?
Yeah, one thing.
Okay.
If you don't like me or whatever, and if you have problems with me, I don't care. Like, if you want to bring them up with me, go ahead. But if you don't like me for whatever fucking reason, I don't give a shit.
Oh, shit.
Hey, Fazzy.
What?
I don't like you.
I don't care what you have to say, Loophole.
Hey, Fazzy.
But yeah, what you want to say, Moogle.
Fuck you.
Good.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, fuck you, Fazzy.
Everybody, yeah, you have fun fucking. All right.
Whatever. Either way.
Everybody fuck Fazzy.
Let's not.
No, don't.
This isn't an orgy.
Don't say this.
Look, Tyler, you're the one who likes men's asses. So that's on you. Okay.
I'm gonna get him to change that fucking name.
You should change your bullshit avatar, boy.
Nah, it's cool
Bender.
looking.
No, it's
Look
not
at
cool.
it.
Alrighty.